Sarthak, heartiest congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And we mean every word of it because making an SBI PO final selection is a special achievement. And it really becomes special because in the year 2024-25, the number of vacancies were significantly less. We are talking about 500 odd vacancies, as against there used to be 2,000.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And very important aspect for every selection is the interview part.
Yes, sir.
And in your case, you probably did 10 out of 10. You scored 49 out of 50. So we would first want to get started with your interview experience, right? How did it all go?
Sir, certainly it was. I was not expecting it since it was my first attempt at any sort of exam in the banking sector. But I was really relieved, but anxious as well. That I've heard and I've seen the change in the pattern. That this time there was a significant chunk in which the interview marks mattered a lot. So I wanted to prepare well. I wanted to be well prepared for the fact that for any type of question that might be asked to me. So certainly Keshav sir, Divya ma'am helped me a lot in sculpting my answers in a way that seemed presentable to the board, and also filling the knowledge gap that might be asked in the interview with regards to my background or with regards to anything related in the banking sector as usual. So sir, my board was actually in the 9:30 slot, so it was the early morning slot, so we all reached there. And before the interview, there was the GD and the GE process as well, which is the group discussion and the group experience, where you actually discuss upon a topic and then as a group and with the moderators observing, and after that you do a group exercise where you rank certain situations while discussing it as a group. So I think that served as a good warm-up before the interview, where I just calmed myself down and looked at the other candidates, because there's also a factor of anxiety when you observe other candidates as well. So after that process, when finally we were collected in a room and we were asked to wait for our respective interviews, I was actually 5th or 6th in my roll call, if I remember.
And Sarthak, what was the group task given to you guys?
So in the group discussion, the topic was, are freebies detrimental to the Indian economy? We were given 5 minutes to jot down our points, pros and cons, on what side we stood about it. And then after that, there was 20 minutes of discussion which was followed. And I think that you have to remain calm at that point. You have to collect your points. It is not about how much you speak there, but how can you justify your points in a manner that is understandable to the group and more importantly to the moderator sitting.
And did they give you some time that you jot down your point and now get started?
Yes, sir. They gave us 5 minutes on the clock. There was a clock there, so they gave us 5 minutes to jot down our points, and then they started the discussion. They egged us on to start the discussion, and then the discussion flowed naturally.
Was it a cordial group or?
Sir, it seems cordial. We are told, as Sir Keshav sir also mentioned, that sometimes these groups can get a little tardy, and you get into a situation where you want to one up the other person in the group as well. But I think the important factor to keep in your mind, that should remain in your mind, is that you should always, first of all, focus on the topic rather than what you're going to speak. If you jot down your points, even if you do not communicate it in a manner as eloquently as the other person, as they say, but if your points hold that value, if the moderators feel that you have some exceptional pros or cons of the same topic that you have mentioned, I think you will fetch marks there.
Okay. And then let's come to your interview part.
Yes, sir. Sir, as I mentioned, I was 5th or 6th on the roll call, and just as I was about to step in for my interview, the board called for lunch. So the anxiety before the interview just increased manifold. And I think it was after half an hour, 35-40 odd minutes, that I sat in front of the waiting room, anxiously waiting for my turn to begin. But then I kept calm. I was just having faith in my preparation, having faith in my overall knowledge that helped me reach to this stage. And as soon as the board called me in, I greeted them warmly. I greeted the panel chief and each of the individual members separately, and they were very cordial in the beginning. They asked me to sit down, and right away starting firing a barrage of questions. So there were 6 members there.
Okay.
And after the initial warm up, they started firing a barrage of questions towards me. But it was not as if they were trying to make me sound like they wanted to find a fault in my answers, but it was purely
But they were not hostile.
They were not at all hostile. No, sir, I wouldn't say that. But they certainly wanted to check an all-round depth knowledge of my profile, so to say.
So, Sarthak, if you can help us recall the exact questions.
Yes, sir. Sir, since I belong to a law background, having completed my graduation from a national law university, the initial questions were related to that about how my career in law or my background in law will help in the banking sector, and how why I choose to be in the banking sector when I belong to the legal background. Then, secondly, there were three basic questions regarding with what rules and regulations or what laws are banks operated under in India.
Right.
Then after there were some questions regarding influencer marketing, which were sort of took me off
That's it.
the back foot because I was not expecting.
Connected to your
Yes, sir.
affair, right?
They were actually, if I could say, apart from one member who asked me core banking sector questions, I don't think any of the questions were related to banking per se.
Okay.
So the key thing in that moment was to remain calm, just listen to the questions carefully, and give a sort of measured answer which do not sounded too hostile to them.
Right.
So I think the key thing was to listen to questions which many candidates do not do, I feel.
Right.
So the second panel member asked me questions regarding the various banking ratios, the various
Alright.
banking parameters of RBI and the international parameters. He also asked me about Trump's domestic policies
Okay.
and how will they impact America, not only India, but the domestic population in America. So it's not like you just read a headline on the global
Correct.
newspaper
They were
page.
looking at your contextual and conceptual knowledge.
Yes, sir, definitely. So they wanted to know that, okay, he knows what the policies are, but how are they affecting not only the population of India, but
Right.
also the domestic population there. So they wanted someone who knows what he's talking about, what he or she is talking about.
Sarthak, since you had a gap for 3 odd years while you were preparing for
Yes, sir.
civil services, did the panel probe on this?
So they certainly asked me that as they were asking about my legal background, and they asked me if I had attempted any other examinations in that gap.
Right.
So I justified it by, since I've given administrative examinations and examinations in the BFSI sector. So I think they were satisfied with those answers
Okay.
in various stages. When I told them that I've attempted various stages of those examinations, so they did not prod me on that, I feel.
And of all the 6 members, everybody took turn to ask you questions?
Yes, sir. It was a semicircle sort of setup where
Right.
the panel chief was sitting in the middle and it went on clockwise. So
Okay.
I was facing each member as they asked me questions, but I also maintaining a general contact so that others don't feel left out of the conversation.
Do you recollect how long your interview lasted?
Sir, as far as I remember, it went on for around 18 to 20 odd minutes at least.
That's quite
Yes,
a
sir,
bit.
because I think every member must have asked me around 2.5, 3 minutes worth of questions. So
And since you're from Dehradun, Uttarakhand, were there any questions on your background?
not particularly, no, sir. I don't recall any questions which are specifically related to my
Right.
family or my background or my native place in general. So
Perfect. I think the fact that you got 20 out of 20 validates that how well your interview had gone.
thank
Great.
you, sir.
Another insight I would like to have from you, while you were there in a group of 10,
Yes, sir.
what was the profile of other participants and let's say your competitors?
Sir, as little time I had to interact with other people, but I got to know broadly of what other various backgrounds people were from. So I met 2 people who are already in the State Bank of India as junior associates, or they say clerical positions. There were 2 other members who were also probationary officers of other banks. One
And
was
they have
from
applied for SBI.
yeah, they were applying for SBI, which actually overawed me a little bit, because people who have cracked that examination and sitting at that position also vying for the position as a beginner or as a fresher, just
Correct.
it makes you anxious. But I told myself that I had to keep calm in that situation, and it's okay. We've reached the same stage, doing the same amount of hard work and
Right.
preparation. So I had faith in myself.
And Sarthak, you got lucky to have cracked SBI in the first attempt.
Yes, sir.
I have come across very few people in my journey of about 18 years, students going all the way through to SBI in the first attempt. So, any top mantras or guru mantras you would like to share with the prospective students on the written preparation?
Sir, I feel that SBI PO examination is critical to the aspect that, first of all, you need a separate sort of strategy for it. Since it is an examination which has a different pattern as to the type of questions that appear, I feel that first of all you need to study the previous year papers
Right.
and need to study the trend. I think you need to go it in a sequential manner. When you have studied the previous year question papers and you know the level of questions that are asked, not necessarily the topics, but the time it takes to solve each individual question, then I think it is important to improve upon the basics. especially in maths, because sir, I think maths quantitative aptitude is a very critical part of SBI PO. And I feel that the type of questions asked in SBI PO prelims and mains stage is completely different from, say, similar examinations like insurance or other IBPS examinations. So I feel that when you've critically analyzed what type of questions are asked, I think the next thing is to work on them by rigorous test taking. That was my mantra, sir.
Quantitatively speaking, how many hours per day you used to put in?
Sir, there is no set rule for it, I feel, but yes, since it was my first attempt and I already knew the behemoth that SBI exam is, I wanted to put my maximum efforts in. So I ensured that I at least put 8 to 10 hours daily.
Oh.
Yes, because I had
I think
setbacks in other examinations.
And I think that was your rigor of civil services.
Yes, sir, that certainly helped. But then the anxiety of giving it for the first time actually added to that. And you have to make some sacrifices to succeed, I feel.
I think I'll just put a little disclaimer here. 8 to 10 hours per day does not mean throughout the year, right? So it is when you are there in that.
Yes, sir,
crash
definitely
course
the
mode.
post-notification phase where you have to put those 2-3 months in.
Correct.
I feel that if you put those hours in, there's certainly fruits of labor waiting for you.
And another thing we really respect about you is that you didn't give in, despite the fact that you didn't get desired result in your first set of competitions. And this is my own observation. Many students who come for bank exams, they somehow, after tasting, if I can use the word failures in other competitions, their morale is not very high when they take a shot on SBI and bank. So I think we should have a very good message from you to them that how to handle that and negotiate that mindset.
Sir, I believe that the first and foremost, since ours is a country where government examinations are a avenue to a better life, so to say, and there are millions and millions of aspirants, and I feel for them because I was one of them few days back. I feel the key to situation in the situation that you're in or currently the aspirants are in is resilience. If you have a resilient attitude towards your examinations, if you know that it's okay, failures will come in, but I do not have to give up. If you follow that mantra, I know there'll be setbacks in the future. There are lots of ups and downs. I have failed more examinations that I've cracked. So I know better than most in every step, be it the prelim stage, be in the main stage, and interview. I've failed in all 3 stages.
Correct.
So, and the closer you are to getting the success, the more it hurts.
Yes.
And I failed 2 interviews. So the key is to not back down. Obviously, family is a big
Yes.
support structure as well. They constantly keep guiding you. They constantly keep motivating you.
And they kept faith in you.
Yeah, they kept faith in me, and I think I owe all my success to my parents.
Yes. So I think that's a very, very insightful message. Even if you're 26, 27, 28 and you've moved from other exam sets to banking, have faith in yourself, because I think that is the key. Sarthak, thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir.
And,
Thank you so much.
Whatever you have shared with us is going to be of immense insight and help to the students.
I hope so. Thank you so much.